Hi friends, and welcome back. Today on this video, I wanted to chat with you about my first year of infertility. We're in year 7.5 right now, and what I did and what I'm glad that I did, some resources that I was able to access, and then kind of take a quick look at what I would do differently if I had it to do over again. So infertility is a journey and a half. I'm learning to view it as a bit of an adventure and enjoy the growth that happens along the way. And we're still hopeful that we're gonna end up with some kids. So wishing for you and hope you enjoy this content. So my husband and I got married in 2015, and our fertility story involves wanting to get pregnant basically from the beginning. I've always loved family and have wanted to have families. My husband and I both came from families with 4 kids, and we just loved that idea. So there wasn't really much for us that we were like, oh, we're gonna wait or try and get this in order. We were 25 and 27 when we got married. And so that first year just became a year of hopefulness and also disappointment. So I thought I would break each of these videos down into a couple categories: emotional health, physical health, what we pursued with health options, and what I wish I would have done differently. So as far as physical health is concerned, I would say big picture view, we really didn't have any concerns. Neither of us had any pre-existing conditions that we were aware of. And it kind of seemed like we were a green light. Let's go ahead and get pregnant and enjoy this process like everybody does, and kind of like you assume it's gonna go. And as far as diet, we weren't really doing anything super intentional. I mean, I think we tried to eat our meat and veggies and not eat too many desserts and stuff. But in general, it was kind of, I think, what you would think of for a typical American diet. I really like Chipotle, McDonald's. I don't know if I can say that on these videos or not. Oh my gosh, I just said McDonald's. I do not like McDonald's, although their iced coffees are really good. Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, what's that burger place? In-N-Out Burger, oh my goodness, favorite. Yeah, so just kind of normal stuff. I would say that my cycle health, I thought it was normal. I think in retrospect, looking back, I would say at this point, it was poor, like less than normal healthy. But I did have a cycle, and I know that's an issue for some women, so it was nice that I had a consistent cycle that kept going every 28 to 32 days. It's kind of funny sharing about all this stuff. Enjoy. I know we're all in this journey together, so here goes. What we did as far as trying to get health help involved 2 pathways. We used conventional medicine. I established care with an OB-GYN, and then we also used holistic medicine. So I established care with a naturopath who was a doctor of chiropractic and a CCCN. She was a certified nutritionist as well. And I'm so glad we did that. She was a huge asset to have on my health team. And kind of side note, I would say that that's a great approach that I'm so glad I think I was doing without even realizing it, is viewing like the need to build a health care team. So I'm gonna have team members, but it is ultimately like my team that I'm responsible for my health. And yes, I'm gonna get input from outsiders, but I think it's really easy to have this idea that doctors are gonna solve my problems for me. And it's just not true. So the best person to take care of my health has ultimately become me, because I am the central person in the whole process. Anyways, little soapbox, but helpful. So as I built my team, our impetus for establishing care with an OB-GYN was to get some feedback on stuff that we were dealing with just as newlyweds, that it was like, is this normal? Is this not normal? And I'm glad we did that. And it was really helpful. Also, about 8 months in, when I thought I had a chemical pregnancy. I didn't know to call it that, but it's when like your cycle goes 10 or 15 days long. So you're like, I'm pregnant. And then your period comes after that. And it's like, never mind, I'm not pregnant. And it's like, oh, was that a pregnancy? Was that not? So I did go visit my OB-GYN after that. And she basically said, if you want to pay for blood work, you can find out for sure whether you were or weren't pregnant. But it was just $100 to throw at, and I didn't want to do that. So either way, I knew I wasn't pregnant at the time. Also, this pretty much goes without saying, but it's probably worth putting a disclaimer in there. I am so glad that I can share my journey with you all here, and I hope that it's helpful. Infertility is just absolutely baffling, but I am not a nurse. I'm not certified in any way. I don't intend any of this to be health advice. I hope I can be a friend who you can bounce ideas off of in the same way that I've needed women like this in my life during this journey. Okay, so emotional health during my first year of trying to conceive. I would say that just kind of by default, I had my mom as a team member and a helper. I had an older woman at my church that was a real blessing to get to compare notes with, and I was pretty faithful at journaling my emotions out. So those are kind of the 3 resources that I was leaning on for emotional health. And I definitely rode an emotional roller coaster basically every month, you know, the waiting game and then finding out and being frustrated and just like lots of ups and downs. And yeah, that was definitely first year for me. So the number one thing that I would do differently during my first year of infertility, or of trying to conceive, might be a better way to say it, is I wouldn't be afraid to be very proactive, and I would focus a lot on self-education. Because whether you end up getting pregnant or whether this becomes a longer process for you, you will totally have payoff from being well educated in the process. There's so many ways to do it for free. I'll include a few more resources, but yeah, I would focus on that. That's the number one thing I would do differently. Second thing that I would consider investing in is just emotional health resources from the get-go. I'm so glad that I had community and I have my faith as support for me in all of this. But I am so glad at this point in the process, especially having gone through IVF and multiple rounds of IUI and looking at going into more IVF, I'm so glad that I have like therapy help. And I mostly use YouTube. I haven't even paid for a therapist yet, but I am so glad for that, and I would love to brag really quickly on Therapy in a Nutshell. It's this incredible YouTube channel that's this super comprehensive resource, and I'm working through 36 video playlists that she has on emotional health right now, and I'm just so thankful for that. So thankful that it's free. She has some paid courses too, but I cannot brag on her resource enough. And yeah, I just think it's a great thing to have on your radar, even from year one of trying to become a mother. And the final, probably just hope-filled thought that I would love to drop into anyone's life who's walking through this process is that I am learning to grieve and to validate emotions of loss and to walk through that process as I'm in year 7.5 of infertility. But I am also learning to view this whole process as an adventure. And that's a hard thing to do. It takes a little bit of extra willingness to have hope in what can often feel like a hopeless process. But I've realized that what I'm aiming at is the goal of becoming a mother. And I don't know how that's going to happen. I sure hope it's through achieving pregnancy, but I'm totally aware that it may be through adoption or foster care or any other wonderful and beautiful way for building your family. And I'm trying to learn to view this whole process as an adventure that is eventually going to transition into motherhood, which will bring many changes and will honestly just be a new avenue for having ways that I need to be able to celebrate joys and also process losses. Like, motherhood is going to be this vast, huge, grand adventure, and it is what I long for, but this process can be a way that I'm growing as well. So I am sending joy and encouragement to anyone in this process and hoping that sharing my story can also be a blessing. I am working on creating 7 video series that will outline our fertility journey. So I hope you'll find some other encouragement there. I am also trying to share tidbits and resources from this process. So if you've stuck around this long, I hope you'll take a minute to like and/or subscribe. It helps the algorithm know that my videos are being appreciated. And another way to say thank you is to just click around to the rest of my channel. I am trying to use my channel to celebrate growing in 8 areas in our lives: health, marriage, finance, hobby, friendships, family, and balancing those 8 areas is something that I've been trying to do for several years and has brought so much joy to my life. And my journey with infertility is just a part of that process, and I'm enjoying sharing kind of all of this online. So I hope you enjoy, and sending a hug. As I've already said, I'm so glad we established care with both conventional and holistic practitioners. That was a great way to start building my health team. I am so glad that we had some basic awareness of my cycle, of my ovulation window, and that we were trying to correspond with that. Kind of just fertility 101, but it's really easy to go into this process without having really gone into that. I will say, in year 7 of this process, I have since encountered the most helpful fertility handout resource that I have ever found. I can't even think of her name off the top of my head because it's in one of my mini Instagram things, but I am going to include that text down below, and I will send you a link to, I had to get on her email list in order to get this PDF, but I'll show you some of the images from it. It was just like How did I not have this handout on year 1 of this process? Another thing that I'm so glad that I did was track my cycle health. I actually started this a couple months before we got married. So I've used the app Kindara. I know there's a bunch of ones out there. I downloaded that app and would just keep track of the start date of my cycle. It kind of helps you learn about when your ovulation window is probably going to be, and then you always enter it whenever your next cycle starts. So at this point in the process, I have 7.5 years of sometimes more detailed, sometimes more generalized records of my cycle health. And that's a valuable asset, whether I'm in the holistic world or the conventional world. It's just wonderful to have. Okay, and kind of the tricky part, or maybe hopefully the most helpful part, what I wish I had done differently during my first year of infertility. So if you're kind of being educated by the conventional health system, they take a very casual approach to the first year of your fertility process, which is wonderful because you have this kind of chill mindset of like, just believe that it's going to work out. And I think there's real benefits to that. It's not super helpful to get like super focused on this. And yeah, just like anxiety about it is not helpful. But it's like so chill that in some ways, when I look back at the first year, I'm like, I feel like not wasted, but I wasn't super intentional in ways that I would be now about the first year of my fertility opportunities. And the younger years are so valuable in this process. And so I also have a sense of like, I wish I had had somebody encouraging me to be like, very hopeful, but very proactive during the first year, because every single month, especially at this point in the process, I'm just viewing as such a valuable opportunity and gift and something to celebrate. And I kind of just, I don't know, not coasted, but went through the first 12 without really doing anything because the conventional world tells you not to do anything. In fact, conventional medicine is going to tell you that it's not considered infertility until you've had 12 months of trying. I cannot tell you how many thoughts I have about that approach. I'm just gonna bite my tongue, but yeah. Ooh, I forgot that there were a couple resources that I was gonna share. I found them later in my fertility journey, but what good things to know about during the first year. So the first is Taking Charge of Your Fertility, a wonderful book that is just super comprehensive. Look how thick it is. Lots of ways to problem solve things, and just like a handbook for women's reproductive health. Second one, which I only have on Kindle, but I can show it here. The second one is Period Health Repair Manual. I honestly wish I had had this in my hands since I was about, 13 years old, or at least that my mom had. I'm so thankful that resources like this are out there. And I, at times, now that I'm multiple years into this journey, cannot believe that there are just things that I didn't know at the beginning. So the most useful thing about this is just diagnosing kind of where your period health actually is. I referenced at the beginning that I thought I had a healthy cycle, and that since then I have gotten to grow a lot in that area, and that involved a journey with endometriosis and multiple other factors, and this book was just a really key part of identifying that. So I mentioned Kindara or other period health tracking apps, and I will also totally link that doctor that I've recently started following on Instagram, and that super helpful list PDF that she had. So I hope these resources help. They're linked in the description below, and yeah, stick around for more updates, ideas, and health. Bye.